I'm talking about Eurorack drums and integrating it with your existing setups. That's what I want to talk about today. We have the WMD drums up in the house. WMD sent these over to me, or Alex sent them over to me to be specific. What's up, Alex? Hopefully that's you. And I wanted to talk about Clutch in particular during this setup because that's what's new in the studio, and I want to show it off. And I know that there's like a giant release of Clutch videos that came out yesterday, and so I think it's kind of a nice experience to see it hands-on, as opposed to, you know, these nice curated videos. We get to play with it, maybe ask questions and try some ideas. Maybe you give me some ideas to do with it. But I also want to talk about Eurorack drums as a whole. And like, what do you do with Eurorack drums? Do you make a groove box around them? Do you integrate them with your existing setup? How do you go about do that? Do you just sample them and bring these samples, even though a lot of them are made from samples, and bring that into, say, your Dig Attack 2? That's another idea as well. Having the audio not work is like, and having discussed all of this blindly or muted deftly to you, definitely throws me off a little bit. That was bizarre. So let's just talk about this module for a second, then we're going to go back to what I had been talking about earlier during the stream. My name's Matthew, aka EZBOT. We do these live streams every Tuesday. We don't usually do them deftly as we had just done just now. We don't do them on mute typically, but we do these every Tuesday. And today is also a Mod Bang Day, which means a live hardware electronic music event here in Seattle. So if you want to make your way down to the 4Bs and check out some amazing performers, you should do that. Shows starts at 7. Really important that you go and show up for the community. I'll be there, and hopefully I'll see you there. All right, check this out. Clutch. Clutch with me. Clutch with my face. All right. We've seen a lot about Clutch yesterday. I watched some videos of what people were doing with Clutch, and here's what I have to say about Clutch right now. So WMD didn't pay me to do this or anything. They did send me over Clutch, and that's what we're showing off today. And I want to, I want to tell you what I really think about it without, and I really have, fortunately, it's quite positive, which is very fortunate because I don't like to talk about stuff that I don't think is cool. But I do think Clutch is really cool, and I think that this is probably the most advanced drum module that WMD has made so far. It's the most interesting. It definitely looks like the most advanced stuff. We got a bunch of LEDs going on. We got a bunch of buttons. These are the other WMD modules, and there's like 2 missing from here. Kraken and one other. I forget the name of it. But the snare drum one is really great. Kraken. I love that module as well. What's interesting about this module is that it's very similar to how I do my own personal workflow. So when I'm in the sick is Clutch is kind of already built to do that. So what you can do with Clutch is you can actually, just go from side A to side B. That's the release there. So here's side B. It's got a bunch of reverb on it because I've been jamming. There we go. No verb. Right? Second cam has no audio? Jesus Christ. Wow, I did just build the side cam right before I started this stream, so I guess I didn't finish it. This stream is a great success, everybody. Hopefully this is, everybody clips it and shares it with their parents. Hang on, let me go to side cam for a second, and also I won't talk. Just give me 1 second. Haha, side cam works now. Try me again, chat. Try me again. I won't be defeated today. Not today. All right, so check this out. So right now I'm using the HerMod Plus down here. I have my XP32 expander for the HerMod Plus, which gives me a bunch of modulation, which we're gonna end up using in a little bit, I think, to modulate Clutch. Because I don't have anything modulating it, because I wanted you to be able to see the actual panel here. The pretty Clutch panel. Because I think it is a really crammed panel. It's crammed full of stuff. I'm having to like tilt my head over like pretty hardcore to see what's going on over here. There's so much going on. It's the most complex hi-hat module I've ever played with. I'm like, wow, I actually have to learn. I have to learn a hi-hat module. This is news to me. I rarely have to learn a drum module other than like the really weird synthesizer ones. This is a dual sample player drum module with like 7 or 8 built-in effects, as well as accent grooves that you can choose from, and you can make the knobs be different things, and then you can load your own samples onto it. That's pretty cool. So this isn't like a hi-hat synthesizer. It's a hi-hat Eurorack module sample player with built-in effects, modulation, and it's really meant for you to customize it. So it comes with a bunch of its own sounds, but if you didn't like the way Clutch sounded, if you didn't like the samples that were in there, and you wanted to change them, this is unique to Clutch versus the other modules. You could just take this SD card out right here and pop it into your computer and load up your favorite hi-hat samples. It's got a whole bunch of banks and you can cruise through them and then have a good time that way. And then you have your favorite sounds that you have dual layers and control over the layers plus the built-in effects in a single module. And honestly, I think if that's not the biggest selling point to the module, to me, that is the biggest selling point of the module. That is the thing that makes this so cool. It has a bunch of CV. It's really easy to control, 6 knobs, and they can be different things. And you have the side A, side B of your favorite samples that you want to load into it. And of course, just like any good sample player, it comes with a lot of cool samples, which we can cruise through. I can see it a lot better from my screen, which is why I'm looking at my screen. So we can go over to side A, and then you can layer in between the two. I honestly kind of think it would be really cool. WMD, hello, hello. To be fair, this is the first time you've ever seen me have an issue with the stream. What's up, Rhett? Yeah, it rarely ever happens. And it's my interface. It has been my interface every time. I do think what would be really cool, WMD, since you are in the chat and watching me fail at the stream or previously, what would be really sick is if you took this exact idea that you did with Clutch and just did it with, made a bunch more of this. Because this doesn't even have to be a hi-hat module, does it? Like, I could load this full of drums. I could load this full of chords. I could load this full of anything I want. I don't need to put hi-hats in here at all. These knobs here, they don't actually matter for hi-hats. Like, they're not particular to hi-hats. This happens to be a hi-hat, but I could load this full of all sorts of stuff. Although I do think that the groove and accent thing is pretty particular to hi-hat grooves. So that I'm wrong about. But otherwise, we could potentially put a bunch of kick drums in here. Or we could put a bunch of chords or plucks or whatever, because it has volt per octave, and we can have dual plucks and switch between 2 different timbres on a drop of a dime or whatever, and modulate the crap out of it and get some really crazy sounds that aren't necessarily hi-hats. So that's cool. It's cool that it's called Clutch and not called Clutch hi-hat, because I could completely change this from being a hi-hat entirely. And I don't see anything on here that says hi-hat. So if I want it to be something else, I can. And no one can stop me, except for me. And I'm not going to do that. So let's just go over a little bit of the module. I'm not going to do a big old Clutch tutorial. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of videos that are really, really short. These live streams are really, really long. And I don't want to spend a whole bunch of this time, which I've already wasted some of the time in the very beginning of here, going over every single parameter on here. What I'd rather do is talk about what you're going to do with your Eurorack drums and use Clutch to try and make some tunes, integrating it with my Electron gear. We'll pull the camera out a little bit. We'll not use my Dig Attacks hi-hat, but use Clutch's hi-hat and see what it's like to use maybe some of my favorite Electron gear with my Clutch hi-hat and see how that goes. And yeah, I think that's a pretty cool idea. Now, we're going to be adding more banks as we make them. Rock and roll. So that's what I'm talking about. Give us the dirt. I got no dirt. I've got no dirt on you here. So to me, I think, yeah, someone said Nicholas. So we're checking out the chat too. Nicholas says, we're doing a little bit different thing. Usually I do a long presentation and then we talk to the chat. Today we're just jumping right in. What's going on, folks? There are so few versatile hi-hat modules. Yes. Clutch backwards spells hi-hat. Nice, GG. Yeah, there are so few versatile hi-hat modules. But I think that's because it's kind of hard to make a versatile hi-hat module. And I imagine the most versatile hi-hat module you could make would just be an FM engine where it's like an algorithm, most of the parameters are tuned to a hi-hat. Then you could get something pretty versatile, right? Because FM's really great at doing hi-hats and good for sound design in general, but really great for metallic sounds. And I think like going any other route other than samples is just going to be kind of a dead end. You're not going to get the greatest sounds for your hi-hat. So I think that this was the right move, other than maybe integrating an FM synth into it, which would have been crazy and would have made this thing stupid expensive and probably take a long time to develop. But I think in its current form, it works really well. So let's continue with this a little bit. I'm triggering it over here. You can't see this. Here you can with this once broken camera shot. I don't have velocity plugged into it, but we could. Oh, I don't have velocity set up on here either, so we couldn't. So we'll forget about that for now. But let's just turn some of these knobs and have a listen to how it sounds. So right now, this is our surface. This is going to cruise through the samples from our banks. We can change our banks here, and this will change those samples. And yeah, I don't honestly know what happens. So when I move through the surface, it's going to change the surface of both A and B. So is it choosing two samples as I cruise? Let's see, we'll go to side A. Nope, looks like it's using one sample for that one. But then I go to side A. Oh, it says surface A. What am I talking about? Where's surface B? A loading icon? Definitely not seeing that on my end. Okay. Listen to all these sounds. So these are just clearly like, I feel like you, I mean, did you guys record these yourselves? WMD's in here. Did you record these? Some of them sound like just very dry acoustic drums. You did yourself? That's what I'm talking about. Listen to that. Using his foot to close the hat. That's a nice sample there. They're all my and Matt's hi-hats recorded in our studios. I love it. Okay, so here's side B. And here's them layered. This is really cool. You know what I really like about this and what it reminds me of is not only what I was showing you with the dig attack where I was talking about the two different drum layers, like where I have one set of drums on one side and then another set of drums on another side. What I think is really interesting about it is kind of like the TR-1000, which, you know, has been pretty popular right now and people are really excited about it, is that the drums 1 through 4 all have side A, side B, just like this. And you can mix and match side A, side B. And you could totally parameter lock this side A, side B thing with the right sequencer. Like you could with the Hermod Plus. It requires a little bit more, just a little bit more programming than what we're going to do today, because I don't want to bore everybody with how long it takes to program stuff like that. But you can absolutely do it, and it's not like a stretch by any means to parameter lock side A and side B on certain steps, which is cool. Actually, the WMD Volterra, paired with the WMD Metron, which is one of my favorite Eurorack sequencers and combos. Of course, you need the Volterra if you get a Metron, or you're really just missing out. You can totally parameter lock, just hold a note down and turn it, and it will let you lock values in, and that would be a great way to use it with Clutch. Here's a little, like I had this really melodic jam. And I think it sounds pretty cool to have like that really acoustic sounding drum in here. You can kind of hear like how interesting these drums are. These other WMD drums, like Fracture is similar to Clutch. I think like Clutch is an evolution of Fracture. If I'm not, I might be wrong about that, but it's my experience that I that it seems like I'm right about that, is that Fracture, you know, is their clap module. It has a little bit of a different way of approaching things. You can't edit the samples in it, but it has a bunch of crazy sounds already programmed in it. Well, over here you can change the sounds, but it's also starting with these like built-in effects and stuff like that. And they're unique effects, like or it's unique to this module, not unique as in they're like these brand new ideas. All the ideas for effects have already been done. All right, let's continue with this. So I want to change the effect. Let's change some more banks. I want to change the effect. I can turn this offset off, or this is me how I change effect banks, I thought. If I hold this down, now I use this to change which effect I want to use, right? Yeah. What is this? Whoops. But am I even changing anything? Do I have to hold it? Oh, I'm changing effects up here. Yeah, there we go. Cool, so you can hear the built-in effects. This is the delay. What a crazy module. That's pretty cool. That's a nice sounding delay. Ah, thank you, Alex. What a crazy hi-hat. I like the really short. Wait. Oh, wait a second. That's not what I want to do. Long press again. Okay, that's really cool. All right, so now I want to clear this pattern. If I can remember how to do that on this gosh darn thing, clear sequence. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, the sequence is cleared. We got our hi-hat pattern that we're gonna put in here. I'm gonna put in kick drum on here. Whew. Cooking with gas over there. Let's bring this down to like 150. We're gonna go to this hi-hat. Let's crank that sucker up. Woof. That's cool. These patch cables I have are super long. Maybe too long, in fact. Okay. let's grab something to modulate this. I want to modulate, I think, the release. Am I modulating somehow on mod? Yeah, I'm just plugging in here. I haven't set that one up yet. If I didn't already have the module here, I'd say, oh, I'm sold. Because this is the coolest hi-hat sounds I've heard in a while already. Let me throw some reverb on it. All you hear is kick? Why are we being tortured today? Okay, hang on. I think when I turned off my... There we go. Let's just get like a simple pattern, little odd time melody over here. Hi-hat's now feeling a little... Alright, let's go back over to our... Try throwing this into another thing to modulate. How about the A and B? Or the release. Where's our release? One knob down. All right. Here's the glitch. Nice bit reduction. Sample rate reduction. Comb filter. Filter. And if I turn this high pass filter on, it replaces the effects. Actually kind of like the high pass filter. So here's that like accent rhythm or the feel groove type. It must be using trigs, like the trig must be making the groove happen, so like every trig it's getting some sort of like adjustment. Because there's not like a clock for it or anything, so it must be tied to the trig input. You hear that other hat come in? And I do have the open hat tied to 3, so it should just be right here. Should set it to, oops. Yeah. Okay, so now we have a second sequencer that's sequencing the open hat. I like the high pass filter. Might be my favorite effect. When you set it to balance, it adjusts the balance between the open hat and the closed hat, which is what we have it set to now. I did my homework. So far, I'm digging it. I'm digging it quite a bit. Once you get it like dialed in, you start moving around on it pretty quick. It's pretty powerful. It sounds really great. And I like the idea behind it. What I think I like about Eurorack modules in general is when I just like the idea of a module. I only have to like the idea of it. That's enough for me to like get interest and start tinkering with stuff. And I say that I really do like the idea of the module. Like I like where you can go with it, and I like that I can inject my own sounds and my own ideas into how you use it. There's 3 different trigs, so you have your or 4 really, so you have your velocity input, but you also have a choke that you can program too, which we haven't done. We could try programming a little bit of choke in there. Go back to this part of the track. Put some choke on. It's doing too much choke there. These are my mods. Oh, right, they're both using the same gate. What am I talking about? This is where this module gets a little confusing, doing this thing, because it shares this stuff. We could use the mod. I think we can get away with that. Well, we're using mod 1. So I think if we start down here... Oh, whoops. Yeah. 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 Even do it this way, right? Yeah, that's a good idea. Now we got a groove. Sick. Okay, this is sick. This is good. You know what I kind of regret doing is putting all this in this big case. I kind of wish I had put it in like a little 62 HP case, and I just had some sort of CV to MIDI converter, and I just paired it with like my Digitact. I just had some external, because this would be really fun. Like, as much as I love playing, you know, my hats and programming my hats and my sampler, this is more fun and more performative, right? This is more tactile, hands-on experience. I also don't know what's gonna happen next. Like, how could you memorize what's gonna happen? I mean, I guess you could with enough experience, but it's like... It's kind of the point, is that you find these sweet spots. Yeah, we got a good amount of modulation going. We're not doing everything. I feel like we've redeemed ourselves from the audio breaking earlier. Program. Let's fix up these effects, shall we? Make something that we actually like. Nice. Hell yeah. This is our open hat. Let's not do that. Or no, what's this? Effects? Okay. If we go here, let's take a look at what's mod 2. All right. Hey. You know what? Let's just do this. Or even randomize it. Let's change the effect. All right, let's bring Kraken in here, which is on track 2, I think. It has its own huge reverb. Whoops. Check this out. Let's duplicate this pattern. Here. Maybe even switch it over to like the wait, no. Fire. Totally sick. Hang on. You know what we need to do? Let's go to this pattern here. Go here and copy that track and go back here. Paste that. Yes. What we're doing is we're going to build a little sidechain track. Cursor routing. Take everything out. Yes. Oh wait, I'm doing it on the data tag. Damn it. We want to do it here. Let's go back here. And yeah. Uh-huh. Cool. Now we got sidechain going on our baseline. When you toggle the switch, it allows you to hear the module without any of your modulation patched in. Really clever idea and something that's extremely welcome, and I hope other Eurorack modules and makers take suit of that idea. Fracture is just another from another planet. Try another knob. I really like short hats. I like that we have the option for the long hats. Hold on, let's go back to 3. What was our gate sequence? Let's go back to here. We're still in the effects selection. What the hell? That literally sounds like a crowd clapping. Or a bunch of finger snaps. This is your favorite bank? Sick. I feel like that turned into like a really good jam. I mean, honestly, this is the way that I would prefer to use things. Anytime that I try and do like this 100% Eurorack experience, I always feel like I'm so limited personally. But honestly, this module feels like a pretty unlimited hi-hat module, and it's as unlimited as it is my sampler, because I can just load it full of a million samples and then perform with it. So I feel like this is a module that I've every once in a while. Let me. I'm digressing. Every once in a while, I come across a sound source or like some sort of sound tool where I'm like, this would actually be a great addition to my existing rig. Not every kind of sound has that. Like, there's a couple of kick drum modules that people are rave about, but personally, I like sample kick drums, so I often use a lot of sample players for my kicks because I like these like EDM kicks, or I like these very particular sounding kicks that are like really hard to synthesize, and they just take a really long time to get them sounding really nice. So I tend to go for samples. Now, when it comes to hi-hats, I don't feel that way. I feel like electronic hi-hats, they can be anything you want them to be. They can be weird little sounds. It's really just about like that, hitting that register, that spectrum, and then the short sounds, short and long sounds, and the rhythm that you get from a hi-hat. To me, it's like, it's really just hanging out in that spectrum and keeping things kind of shorter, right? Like how a hi-hat is. And I'm not trying to be silly with what I'm suggesting, but every once in a while I come across a something cool, like this module, for instance, where I would be like happy to just have just this module if it had its own little case, just its own little case. And I was like, this is my hi-hat. And this hi-hat goes on the side of my Digitact and my Digatone. And this is the hi-hat module that I use in my shows because it has all these different flavors and I can really tweak it, and I can go to like this outer world space, but then also bring it back into this extremely realistic space. That's not something you can do very easily on, well, you definitely can't do it on the Digitact. You could kind of do something similar on the Octatrack, but it would be a total pain to accomplish that mission, to do it very easily compared to on this, on the Clutch. So I really like it a lot. And to be honest, and to be, to be completely transparent, this is probably my favorite WMD drum module yet, which makes sense considering it's their newest drum module. So good job, WMD. Good job, Alex, and nice recordings that you picked. This is definitely like, probably the hi-hat module that'll stick through my case. I go through, like, I take this out, I take this out. If you're like me, like you're obsessing with what goes in your system, and like your system exploration is a whole part of like Eurorack, but some stuff always comes back. Like some people are like, oh, well, Platts is in every single case, because I always use Platts. It does everything, right? So it's just always around. And there's different modules like that. For me, I love the Monumatic by Nobula. I have two of them in this case, and I don't see a reason to take them out of my case, or at least keep one of them in my case. I now think that Clutch will be one of those modules that kind of stays in my case, no matter what case I change to. I love my other WMD drums, don't get me wrong. Crater's a really fun kick drum, especially when you crank up the distortion. Well, listen to this. I mean, this is a techno drum. That's crazy sounding, and Fracture sounds insane. Fracture is just... There's nothing like Fracture. And then Chimera is cool too. Let me see. Yeah, why is that one being weird? I'm sure it's me. It's only sending gates every once in a while. Whatever. Anyway, my point that I'm trying to make is that they all sound really cool, right? They're very unique. Crater is very unique. Crater sounds like Crater. Crater sounds like a very techno kick drum. Like, it can have a little bit of a housey drum, but in my opinion, it sounds the best when you crank up the clipping and you really send that distortion. You get that. Like, that's freaking sick. And that's what I would use Crater for. Fracture is very interesting. It gets to this weird textural places. It can sound like a clap. It can sound like fingers. It can just sound like weird found sound stuff that you can tweak live and throw some through its own reverb, or process it through something like beats. That's a really good time. Clutch is just, well, it's, Clutch. It's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, you know, pardon the name, right? Like it comes in clutch for sure. It's just usable no matter what thing you're gonna do. And I've already demonstrated that. We did a little jam from scratch in 15 minutes and it sounded awesome. Let me get clutch out of here for a second. I mean, not clutch. Fracture, because it's distracting. This is so cool. So I really like this a lot. And then Chimera is really unique as well. So they sound really unique. Clutch is like, while its usability and its functionality is unique, its sound is whatever you want it to be, which is different than these. These sound like these modules, and this can be anything. So to me, this makes this module more, I don't know, it puts it into the spot where you can just put it into any skiff, any system that you want it to be, which I think is really cool. And so to me, it's one that's gonna go in all of my skiffs. So now every time I need a real sounding hi-hat, and which is usually what I go for, I'm gonna use clutch. That's really cool. You can't say that about every single hi-hat Eurorack module you come across. I have some Erica synth stuff, and you know, it's pretty unique to what it sounds like. I have some noise engineering stuff, and it's really unique to what it sounds like. But this is kind of a chameleon, and it can be wherever it wants to be, but also go into that experimental zone. And that's what I discovered so far that I like about it the most. So I think that's really cool. That's really, really good work. And I'm really glad that we have WMD in the chat here during this overview. And also, such a bummer that we had that audio issue at the beginning. So let me check in with the folks here. Am I the only one seeing the loading icon in the portrait? Blue is yours again. It goes from normal hats to some hats made out of a bunch of random symbols. So there's an 18-inch set of hats in there. Oh, cool. Is there a delay with bank switching? No, I haven't heard a delay with the bank switching. I mean, Alex is saying that there is a delay, but I didn't hear it. So maybe there's a delay in terms of, I don't know, it seems like it's loading on the rhythm, so maybe it's not noticeable to me. Because I didn't really notice that. That could be changed, but your default is to soft take up. The bottom switch changes the effects. The bank LED shows what effects. Just tap the bottom switch to change the effects. Yeah. When in effects mode, right. So you can leave the effects modes and go into these more like hard assigned effects modes, which is one's a high pass filter and one is balance between the hats. Or is it only the high pass filter that deactivates the effects? I think that might be the case. Thought you were really just vibing with that kick. Yeah, wouldn't that be funny? Yeah, it is really powerful. Chugging the 25 ounce in the car, gotta go shopping. You will be my soundtrack. Oh, thanks, man. Dang, that sounds cool. I think so too. What happens if you tweak a knob and it sounds very bad and loud? How can it be prevented? Well, that's not really gonna happen. You don't tweak a knob and it gets really loud unless that knob is a volume knob. And there's not a volume knob on the hi-hat module, or on most Eurorack, or on most drum modules do I see a hi-hat or volume knob. Maybe the accent control might make it a little bit louder, because that's typically what accent does, but should be fine. Effortless transmutation from closed hats shakes to open hats and back. Love it. Yeah. That's definitely the experience that I had with it just now. Like, to me, this is a cool groove. change the effect again. The feel groove is very interesting, and when I'm reading the manual, it doesn't necessarily describe the different grooves that are happening in there. I'm kind of curious about that. I don't know if you're able to elaborate that on the groove, Alex. That's dope. Wow. Okay, that makes sense. The patterns that come with it are just patterns you found useful, basically changing velocity on each step. Okay, cool. You can have it modify attack and release as well if you'd like to give it a different character of sound, but you program it like a sequencer using numerical values to define a step's velocity. Does that take place in the ini file on the card? now we're using all WMD drums. Let's see. See, I think the kick drum sounds so good with the distortion on it. Super sick. Jazz 7835. WMD, very happy to hear. Looking forward to getting some of these modules. Maybe a sequencer. Right on. Yeah, it's very nice to have WMD back in full swing. It feels like all is right with the world when WMD came back together, when the team reformed and started putting their modules out again. Because for a minute there was basically two WMDs, so to speak, and I'm glad that you combined back together, which is really cool. All right, cool. Well, we've been jamming on here for a little over an hour. We had a little funky intro, which kind of messed stuff up a little bit. My audio interface was kind of screwing us over, which is so lame, and a couple scenes in here, but I'm going to chop them out of the stream, so it'll be like it never happened for folks who watch this a little bit later on today. And it'll be a seamless experience like it has been now. But thank you everybody for coming in and hanging out and checking it out. My name's Matthew, aka EZBOT. We were checking out Clutch by WMD, but also just talking about Eurorack modules in general, Eurorack drum modules in general, and integrating them with your existing setup, whether you use them as a groove box or whether you use them alongside your existing gear. As you know, I like to work on a lot of Electron gear, and I kind of have this fantasy now of taking Clutch and taking it with my Electron gear and just putting it in a tiny little skiff next to my Electron gear. Maybe I find like my favorite couple drum modules and stick it in there. I'd say Clutch. I don't have that many favorite drum modules, honestly. I really do like my Bacillus iteratus still. I really like that drum module, percussion module, and I really like the Clutch. I think that this is an innovative sample playing module for sure. It's hard to become innovative in the sample playing module realm, and I feel like they did a really good job of pulling that off, so that's really cool. So I'd take that, maybe my Bacillus, and have that on the side, and just send some trigs over to it with a CV to MIDI converter along with my Electron gear, and improv with those two modules, and you can go pretty far with that. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Another thing you could do with Clutch that I think would be really useful in general, not just with Clutch, but with your Eurorack modules in general, is like recording like little 1-bar rhythms and sampling them, perfectly quantized 1-bar rhythms, like a 1-bar rhythm on Clutch with all these different sounds in it. Like change the sound, do a 1-bar rhythm, do like your classic rhythms that you like to use. Maybe it's just your off hat or 16th note hat or whatever, and just record those, and then take the experience of playing with the hands-on module, take that sample and put it into your other samplers and use those. I think that's another good use of it. You don't have to take your Eurorack out. You can sample your Eurorack and take advantage of all the knobs per function and all of the cool stuff that you have that surrounds that module in a Eurorack system and modulates it with some cool modulation. I really thought after I started the stream, besides dealing with the technical difficulties, that I should have put in the Acid Rain Maestro, it's like this super LFO, and I was like, oh, this would have been perfect to pair with Clutch, because then I could just send these really simple rhythms, these simple ramp ups and stuff that are so easy and so fun to just change on the fly. Whereas in my Hermod Plus, changing those rhythms is slow. The experience is slow, it's a little bit tedious, and it works really well because it's, you can dial it in to such a pinpoint degree, you can get so surgical with it. But something a little bit more hands-on and simple and quick, and kind of has some of those decisions made for you, like a good LFO module, would have been a good idea for me during this jam. So something to keep in mind for you who picks up something like this for your case. If you want to pick it up, it's available at tons of Eurorack shops. I don't personally have an affiliate link on the channel here, and I don't sell it from my own shop, though that's a cool idea. But if you're interested in checking it out, you should, because it's out right now. It came out yesterday, and it sounds awesome. So, Alex, thanks for hanging out and sitting through the stream and jamming with me and helping me when I got lost here and there on the module. or just giving me a couple of tips and ideas, and also explaining a little bit deeper on what the module does and where the sounds come from, which is so cool to hear that they come from your studio and Matt's studio, and from some of your own units. That's really sick. I'm glad you shared that on this stream, and hopefully we can do another stream and talk more with Alex later in the next month or so, and do a one-on-one, because that's something I really want to do with Alex. Yeah, so back, I'm just going to let my jam play out for a little bit, and I'll let everybody go, and thank you everybody for hanging out, and let me get back to editing out that silence. Again, if you want to support this channel, it's patreon.com/EZBOT. You can go ahead and just like and subscribe. That's really good here. If you want to get your hands on my cool patch cables that you see on here, these are my patch cables. I designed them. They're extremely slim, and they glow in the dark, along with other cool stuff. You can find that at modbang.com. 20% off right now for Black Friday sale. So here's the jam.